morning, Spencer.
Good morning.
Got a great guest in studio here. It's Paul Taylor, and he's going to talk with us this morning about Senior Services for South Sound, some of the great programs they have for folks not only in Mason and Thurston counties. Morning, Paul.
Good morning.
Good to see you again. It's been a while since we've checked in with things that the gang has been up to, and you have a lot going on. For those who are just kind of learning about the group, tell us a little bit about Senior Services for South Sound. You can find them online at southsoundseniors.org.
Yeah, the Senior Services for South Sound operates 2 senior centers in Thurston County, but we operate also the food programs at the Mason County Senior Activity Center and up in Belfair, and in a couple other locations throughout the region. And we also have the Brighter Days Adult Day program, which is a program that I administer, and we have a program called Care Connection, which helps connect people with private caregivers, independent caregivers.
One of the things that we've talked about over the years, I believe, with these types of programs are the ways that the day-to-day caretakers, sometimes they have stuff they need to do. They've got stuff going on. Or they need a bit of a break. If it's a family member taking care of another family member, or in any other types of situations, there are times when the caregivers themselves need a little time for some self-care, perhaps, and that's how you guys fill in some of these gaps.
That's correct. The Brighter Days program specifically offers 5 hours of respite, up to 5 hours. We work with people so they can come for a couple hours or they can come for up to 5 hours. Most folks come on a regular schedule, 1 or 2 or 3 days a week for those 5 hours. Here in Shelton, we offer 3 days a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
And that is at the Senior Center up?
No, we actually work out of the Faith Lutheran Church.
Okay, on Connection.
On 1212 Connection Street.
With dementia becoming such a bigger and bigger issue with our older parents and relatives, these programs are really, I'm sure, needed more than ever.
Absolutely.
And families, it's just that much tougher on the families. It used to be just like your parents would get older and, their mobility was affected, and now we combine that with Alzheimer's and things like that. It makes it even more trying on the families.
Tell us a little bit about the Momentia program.
So Momentia is the idea of creating dementia-friendly communities. One of the big focuses when someone is diagnosed with dementia is to get as much knowledge as you can, to stay active, to stay living, not give up on life, and to seek and accept help. And Momentia starts at the early stages of the disease and basically is for caregivers and people with dementia to attend an activity that's similar to what they are used to. So things like a memory cafe, where they meet together and share a social and a short meal with other people who are going through the same thing and get to meet people and talk to them. It's not a support group, but it's a social interaction. We also have a program called Music Men's Minds. Music Men's Minds meets every Tuesday from 12:30 to 2:30. Might be 12 to 2, but right there at the noon hour, and it is just people coming together to enjoy music, play music, sing. You can sit and listen, or you can bring your instrument and play along, or they have some rhythm instruments they pass out. So it's a fun activity. That's done at the Olympia Senior Center, and it's open to anyone that wants to come. And then we're looking to get more activities like out and abouts, going out on hikes with other people with dementia and their caregivers, coming together with a couple of staff people to go and do a hike or an activity or a walk.
Seems like there's been a lot more research over the last couple of years on how these types of activities help keep the mind adept and snapping on all the synapses and things
there's
like
scientific evidence that staying active, staying engaged socially with other people, and sometimes that's difficult if you didn't do that when you were before dementia, but connecting with other people stimulates brain synapses. Also, music is a different part of the brain, and emotions are a different part of the brain than is usually affected by Alzheimer's disease. And so many times people will talk about how experiencing a musical program reopened a connection to someone who was not sort of closed off and not participating.
You mentioned in some of these programs it's folks with perhaps early dementia meeting with other folks with early dementia. Is there something about that similarity that helps both parties as opposed to someone meeting who has early dementia or through the spectrum there with someone who doesn't have it?
Well, that is, that's why support groups exist, because it's very, very helpful to have, to be able to talk to someone who understands a little bit about what you're going through.
Sure.
On the other hand, I'd say that both are important. It's important for the community itself to become more accepting of people with dementia. If someone, for example, if someone goes to a restaurant and the waitress has takes the order, and a few minutes later the person flags them down and gives the same order, the waitress, instead of saying, "You already gave me that," would just say, "Oh, thank you very much. We'll make sure we get that for you."
Yeah,
and so getting the community to become aware of dementia and to become dementia friendly is part of the goal of the Momentia program.
Okay, wow.
That's really a neat concept there. Just showing kindness and compassion and patience.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ways that you can also be involved here. When it comes to either volunteering or more, what are some ways that folks can give back to the program?
So we would love to get more folks helping out at the Brighter Days program here in Shelton. We have 2 paid staff, and they do an awesome job. But we like to have volunteers alongside them to help, so that if they have to help someone in the restroom, or they have to help someone who's having a challenging day, that there's still other people to support the remaining participants. We have up to 10 people in the room. We can go up to 12, so we still have lots of room for more folks. But we would love to have a regular set of volunteers. At our program in Lacey, we have 20 volunteers that spread out over the 5 days a week that we operate. And so we usually have 2 to 4 volunteers helping the staff.
Is there training available for those volunteers, and are there additional trainings and classes available for the caretakers?
Absolutely. We train our staff both on the job and once a month, as well as quarterly, with some required trainings that we do that are required by the state. So we provide lots of training for our volunteers who are in the program, but it's not over demanding of their time. So it's kind of on-the-job training. But as for helping caregivers, there are all sorts of programs out there. That's why I said seeking help is the first step.
Yeah.
Accepting help is the second step. For example, right now there's a counselor in town who is doing, in the area, who is doing a Facebook-based 12-day training. You can watch an expert talking about a specific topic related to caring for someone with dementia, and then join a question and answer live over Facebook.
Wow.
Or until about the middle of December, those videos are going to stay up on that Facebook page, so people can go back at their leisure, middle of the night, whatever, and watch these videos. That's just one example. There's also a program called Powerful Tools for Caregivers. The Area Agency on Aging has some classes. We have 2 support groups that we support, that we operate in Thurston County, and then the Alpine Way Care Center has a support group here in town. There's also specific support groups, like for Parkinson's disease, people who are living with Parkinson's disease and their caregivers. So there's lots of help out there.
On the Brighter Days program, what do you hear from the caregivers who utilize the service, who are sometimes having not only a difficult time in maybe something going on with them, but in a day maybe their loved one or whoever they're taking care of is having a particularly bad day? What have you heard about the way this Brighter Days program has helped to keep someone from just throwing their hands up and saying, I can't do this anymore.
Maintaining sanity is essential as part of what we do, is that we help people. In one case, we've had people who said, oh, well, I sleep. When he's at the program, I sleep because I have to stay up all night to make sure he's safe.
Yeah.
Another case, not as severe, but I think emblematic of what we do, is we had a lady who brought her husband into our program. He got involved, and about the fourth time she came in, she said, well, I'm going to go home and mow the lawn, and I got a whole bunch of other stuff I'm going to do. When she came back, she was glowing, and she says, I colored my hair for the first time in months. And just little things like that you think are a key to your own happiness as a caregiver are something that can happen because of this respite.
Yeah.
So that's an example.
Paul, it was good to see you and good talking with you as always. SouthSoundSeniors.org has more information on the programs, events, volunteer, membership, ways to give as well. And we'll put the links to that in the show notes. Thank you so much for coming on.
Great. Thanks for having us on.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Love talking to you.